That's it.
All of you.
Okay, 12 today. It's for you. 12 today. I have to. I'm just saying love it because I can't. I love it. It's my dad. It's my dad. I'll see you later. I'll see you later. Mom, come see her. Come say hi to, come say hi to your godfather. Okay? Come say hi to your goddad.
And Leolah Brown joins me. She is Bobby Brown's sister and Whitney's former sister-in-law. And you were also Whitney's assistant for some years, right?
Yes, yes, I was.
Okay, I just want to get your take on this. What do you think?
You know, when I first heard the news that...
I can see you're upset.
Yes,
it's still upset.
I am. I really am, because I think it's what I said it was in the beginning. When I first seen this, and I saw the news, and I saw... and I'm sorry. Please excuse me, I just have to come out and say this.
Please.
I saw Ray J coming out of the hotel, hiding his head, being pushed into the car. Why? I looked and I said, why is he hiding? Why is he hiding his face? He's always trying to show his face when he's around Whitney. Why now? Why are you trying to hide now, Ray J? And I put it all together. When I first heard she passed away, I said, my God, somebody gave her a bad bag.
Cocaine.
Yes, I promise you, that was the first thing that came out of my mouth. And then I saw Ray J, and it all added up. So I am going to believe that Ray J, who Whitney told me she had no relationship with, and this is a young boy who's running around telling people that he is a boyfriend of Whitney's, but I know clearly that he wasn't. He was, like she said, a runner boy. For some reason, he knows somebody that sells drugs, and he was buying them for Whitney, from what I know, and giving her drugs. I want to know why this boy was allowed to do that around Pat and around Gary. Around Pat, mainly because you were with her. You were with her all the time, and for you to say that you don't know what happened to her, you know, I'm really disturbed by that. I really am.
Now, we saw Pat on the Oprah interview, though, suggesting that Whitney did not do drugs, and Gary saying the same thing, right? I mean, do you think it's possible they had no knowledge that she was using at this time?
Well, no, I doubt that very much. I doubt that very much. Pat is around her. She's around her enough to know if she was doing drugs or not. I don't believe that. I really don't. And I'm just being honest. If I was around her, I would know.
You would know. And I see that you're angry.
Yes, I am.
And you're sad too, right?
Yes,
I mean,
am.
this is really a sad.
I'm very sad. I'm very sad, and I'm very angry right now.
Shelley, here we are again, another great person taken by addiction. It makes us sad every time, and yet how many times we got to sit here and talk about this? It sounds like no one, Leolah was willing to do that.
I don't believe anybody tried to do that. You know, everybody says, I loved Whitney, but what did you do to try to help her? You know, did you allow these things to continue to come in her life? Did you allow these people to continue to give her this? Were you one of the people giving these drugs to her? I mean, you know, answer these questions, please.
Well, and I'll tell you, the thing that bothers me is it might even have been the person that poured the alcohol that then triggered the cocaine. You know what I mean? It's all part of the same process, and people didn't seem to understand. Joining us, Bobby Brown's nephew, Jairam Brown. Jairam, both you guys, Gerard's still with us too as well. Your mom, Leolah, believes that Whitney, the foul play, maybe she was murdered. Jairam, what do you think?
Yeah, I believe the same thing. I mean, everything I heard, all the information, it really just doesn't sound right, you know. Sounds like something fishy's going on.
Gerard, you said the same thing?
I believe so.
I mean, she took pills. She drank alcohol the night before. Why not just took too much and didn't breathe? What's wrong with that?
Chrissy told me at the hospital, you know, that my mom is a recovering addict, and she did a lot of drugs. So, you know,
yeah, but I
you know, pills wouldn't take her out
I
like
don't think
that.
so.
She's a swimmer. You know what I'm saying?
I had a tumor before. I was on pain pills before, you know, and they're prescribed by a doctor, and you know how to take them.
Was she taking painkillers, Whitney?
I don't know.
I'm not sure.
That I don't know of. I have no knowledge of her taking any pain pills. No.
Okay. I came to talk about the death of Whitney Houston, Bobby Christina, and Bobby Brown Jr. I am going to set the record straight today. I know that it's many people in the world that think and believe that Whitney or Bobby Christina or little Bobby died of a drug overdose. That is not true. I'm going to set the record straight tonight, today. Right now, it is about 9:01 p.m. Eastern Time. Okay, and today's date is September the 27th. Now, I'm going to set the record straight, and I don't want to hear nobody no more. Media, this is to you too. I'm going to let you all know how they was all found. Okay, let's start with my niece. We're going to start there. And the reason I'm starting with her, because after I did my investigations, I believe that Bobby Christina was the aim first. Bobby Christina was the aim, and they wanted to kill Whitney afterwards while she was at that Beverly Hilton. They wanted to say that they found Bobby Christina in the bathtub, and then Whitney Houston committed suicide. But that is not true. That is not true. None of that happened. None of that happened. Bobby Christina came out of the bathtub at the Beverly Hilton. Okay, but she was the first one found at the Beverly Hilton. Yes, you all didn't know that, but I have a lot of stuff coming out in the book. But I'm going to briefly tell you, I'm going to set the record straight and let you know that Whitney fought for her life. Bobby Christina fought for her life. Bobby Jr., I don't know. I don't know if he fought too hard, because I think he was just tricked. Somebody spiked his drink or food or something, because little Bobby Jr. was clean. Okay? Seriously. Okay, now let's start with, let's start with Whitney. We're going to start with Whitney Houston. Whitney Houston's body told anybody, upon looking at it, that it was foul play. Okay? Don't get it twisted. No. Whitney Houston, I counted at least 10 gashes in her chest alone. She had marks up and down her legs. Her fingernails were chipped. Her face was busted out. It was blown up. Yes, as if somebody was punching her in the face. Whitney Houston fought for her life. Yes, she did. Excuse me, let me have a drink of water. Whitney fought for her life. Whitney had skin taken off her back. It was so many things wrong with Whitney's body. I mean, it told anybody. And like I said, her security, Ray, told me that room, Whitney's room, looked like a tornado hit it. So it was a fight. It was a struggle. Okay? Yes, it was. Pat knew this. Gary knew this. But they also did something else when before the authorities got there to the hospital with Whitney. Pat and Gary staged the scene. Yes. I have an eyewitness that was there that watched them go in and out of the room after Whitney's body laid there, and they were taking things out from one room to the next. Pat and Gary did this. So Whitney's body definitely denoted that there was foul play. Okay? All of her bruises told us what happened in that room. Whitney fought for her life. There was no drugs in her system. The coroner report states that. There was no drugs in Whitney Houston's system. Okay? So let's stop saying that she died of an overdose. I'm sick of seeing that in the media. That's not the case with Whitney. No, she didn't have any drugs in her system. Bobby Christina was beaten in her living room. Go and look at the police report. Bobby Christina was beaten in her living room by Nick Gordon. He beat her down with Danielle in her condo, Max Lomas, and Danielle. What's Danielle's last name?
I forgot.
I got it coming out in the book, but that's okay. Danielle, who was somebody that Chrissy was not even friends with anymore. Okay, so what was she doing in my niece's house? Yeah, we're talking about all this in the book. Nick beat Chrissy down into like a fetal position. She was screaming and crying, asking him why was he doing this to her, because she didn't know. But it was a setup. It was a setup. Yes. Nick was told not to let her go out of that house and to do whatever it was he got paid to do that for. Okay? Yeah, that's the deal. Nick Gordon was not somebody that grew up with Bobby Christina either. No, he was not. He did not grow up with her. Nobody never met him. Bobby, my brother, never met Nick. Okay, Nick was brought into the picture after Bobby and Whitney's divorce. Okay, so right before Whitney was murdered, Nick was brought into the picture. Okay, and if you ask me who would bring him in, I would tell you Pat Houston. Yes. She set everything up. Okay? We're going to talk today. We're going to talk. I'm going to talk to you. Because it's obvious that Pat brought him in. And when Nick did that to Bobby Christina and she was rushed to the hospital, because after he beat her and drug her up them steps, he shot her up with something and threw her in the bathtub.
Dragged her up and knocked her teeth out.
And knocked her teeth out of her mouth, yes. My sister Tina's here with me right now.
Hitting every step.
Reminding me of things, okay? So, yes, Nick did all that. Also, I was getting ready to say something. After Nick did all that to Bobby Christina, he was on, I wanted to get his story. So my nephew, Gerard Brown, called him, and he was on a tape. He said, when Gerard, and I had 10 people in my living room. Some of Whitney's family was there, and the Browns were there, and some of my friends. So there are plenty witnesses. They all heard Nick on the tape. Gerard is on the phone with him, and he asked what happened. Tell me what happened. How did Chrissy end up in the bathtub? And he just went to talking all hysterical, and he was scared. He said, I'm not going down for this. I'm not going down for this. He said, I'm not going down for this one. He said, I saved Pat with Whitney.
Sure did.
I'm not going down for Chrissy, because I already saved Pat with Whitney. So what did he save you for, Pat? How did he save you? Huh? Is that why he's not living right now? I don't know. Talk to me. Because Nick is no longer here to tell the story. Okay?
Told it wrong anyway.
So we're going to keep this real. We're going to keep this real. All right? And I'm going to say this. I hope that you all don't think that I'm talking with anger right now. I'm just being passionate about this because I am so tired of seeing the media talk about Whitney Houston. They're writing up things. They keep saying that she was murdered. She murdered, death by overdose. No, Whitney Houston didn't have any drugs in her system. Okay, so and neither did Bobby. Bobby Christina was beaten into that bathtub, and then when she entered the hospital, she snapped out of the coma quickly. She was not in a coma for a long time. No, Bobby Christina, every single time I walked in her room, me and my sister Tina together, Bobby Christina was up. Her eyes were wide open. And I asked the nurse or doctor, I said, she never sleeps. She was always aware and up. She wanted to know who was in her room, and she looked you dead in your face. And when I walked in the room to see her, she said, She was so excited to see me. She kept trying to talk to me. The doctors saw this. They were like, oh my God, she's so excited to see you. She was trying to communicate with me, but she couldn't talk. But she was up. Bobby knows this. Bobby Christina was up every single day. That girl was scared to go to sleep. She was up watching TV. Bobby would sometimes come to her room and feed her popsicles and, okay? So let's get out of that. Y'all, you got that idea in your head that my niece was in a coma and she was not aware and she was unresponsive. And yes, she was like that, of course, in the beginning, but she came out of that. Bobby Christina was strong. And Dr. Jolly showed them where he could bring her brain back 100%. The doctors had even told us she would be fine after about 6 months. They said it would be a little slow process, but she's doing wonderful. It wasn't until the Houstons came into that hospital after Bobby Christina communicated to her father that she did not want none of them near her bed. But they came in there and they did something to my niece. There's no way I'm going to let somebody tell me that they didn't. They did. Because then there pops up an impersonating nurse. And then Pat was going in the room by herself all the time. And we didn't know this. She only did it when Bobby went out of town. Yes. So something was done to my niece because she was supposed to come home with us. Bobby Christina was healing, okay? And Bobby Jr., his case, I'm sorry. My nephew was homeless in California, and he called me. And he said, Auntie Leolah, I have nowhere to go. I have a friend, a Facebook friend. And this is not somebody that's going to tell a lie for me, so don't think that that's what's going on, because I didn't even know her then. I had just made a Facebook post and said, who's in LA and up right now? Please respond to me. And my friend Tawana in LA responded to me. And she said, I'm up. I said, please call me. And I asked her if she could take my nephew in because he was in the streets in LA. And I had no idea. And I asked him, what happened, little Bobby? He said that his father's wife, Alicia, did not want him in his father's house. And he said, Auntie Leolah, I didn't do anything. Little Bobby is a very respectful young man. He said, I don't know why she doesn't want me in the house, so I can't stay with my father, and I don't know nobody in California. I'm just out here in the street. He said, I lost my job. He was working, struggling, trying to get his music on, paying his own way. But the job that he held down, he got fired on because he had an argument or a fight with somebody that kept picking on him about him being Bobby Brown's son and working a 9-to-5. That's why little Bobby didn't have a job no more. These people kept bothering him every day of his life. And then my friend Tawana takes him in. I sent him money. I cashed app him money for food and the things that he needed. I thanked Tawana for keeping him, and she went and picked him up in LA and everything and brought him to her house. It was days after that that little Bobby was found dead in a condo that is in Alicia's name. And he wasn't found dead until my brother Bobby left LA and came to Atlanta, and we were having dinner in a restaurant together. And little Bobby FaceTimed his father, and we were all sitting there looking at Bobby. Little Bobby looked so healthy and clean. He didn't look like he had ever did a drug in his life. And the next day he was dead. Oh yes, this is what happened, you all. Come on. So there's foul play with everybody, especially Whitney and Chrissy. Whitney was most definitely murdered. Bruises all up and down her legs, her fingernails were chipped, her lip was busted, her face was swollen like somebody was punching her in the face. Her cousin called me. I went to the body viewing. I flew into New York, went to my hotel, and just as I'm getting ready to go to her body viewing, Whitney's cousin called me screaming and crying. She said, Leolah, who did this to her? I said, what's going on? She said, I just seen Nippy and her face is all big. It popped up and busted up like somebody punched her in the face. Yes, they had Whitney laying in the casket like that. But you could see her then at the body viewing. But the funeral, they had a closed casket on Whitney because she was so messed up. Okay? So Whitney Houston, no, she was murdered. Her room looked like a tornado hit it. So Whitney was fighting for her life. Why didn't her brother Gary and Pat get in the media and tell that? Why? Why didn't they reveal that to the public, that somebody murdered Whitney? I know why.
Because they did it.
Okay? So no, Whitney Houston was murdered. Let's get that straight. Bobby Christina was murdered by Pat Houston. Yes. She did not want Chrissy to come out of hospice. First of all, I believe she put Bobby Christina there. In hospice. She wanted her to leave that hospital and go directly into hospice because Chrissy was coming home with us. The nurses said that she would be fine. We could take her home and she would be fine. Give it about 6 months. But then she ends up going into hospice? Somebody did something to my niece. Oh, yeah. And it's easy. It's obvious to figure out what's really going on. Impersonating nurse. Where is she? She better be in jail. She better be in jail. Yes. I wanted to talk to you all and let you all know this. Because there are no drugs involved with none of their bodies. No, none of them. It might have been found in little Bobby's body, but that was because it was put there. Little Bobby wasn't getting high off of nothing. No, and Bobby Christina, she cried out for somebody to help her. And that boy, Max Lomez, and that girl, Danielle, sat there and let Nick beat her up like that. And stomp her and drag her up those steps without even calling 911 or trying to get him off of her. None of them helped her. So they was not her friends. No. They were trying with Bobby Christina. They tried to put her in the bathtub in the Beverly Hilton at first. Then, on top of that, when Chrissy didn't die, when she got home after Whitney was found, they planted a knife in her tire for her to have a car accident. They planted that. I have evidence. Bobby Christina was a good driver, by the way. They forced her into that car to drive it. So she had an accident, lost control, because they stuck a knife in the tire. Oh, yeah. They were trying their best to kill Chrissy. All of this for Whitney Houston's estate. Yes. You can believe it if you want to. You don't have to. You can take it or leave it. But that's what it's all about at the end of the day. Yes. And these are our people. Our people. Of course, it may be somebody else involved. It probably is. I don't have proof of. Everybody wants to say, well, it was Clive that ordered it, and that may be so. But I don't have that proof of that. I have proof of things that Pat Houston did, Nick Gordon, Gary Houston, Ray J. Ray J did something to my niece, and I'm going to tell you all about that. Yes, they were all involved. There were too many people running around that hotel doing things to my sister and my niece. I'm so sorry, you all. But it's the truth. As God is my witness. So I'm trying to just set the record straight and let you guys know that I don't want people lying to you. And you thinking that, no, they died from overdoses and stuff. No, that didn't happen. Whitney Houston never got in bathtubs. Anyway, I've said that in the beginning.
No, not no
I
hotel.
let you all know that.
Not no hotel.
No. I was very serious. And I've been saying this since day one. I knew it was something wrong. Well, first of all, the red flags raised with me when I saw Pat Houston on Oprah, looking Oprah in the face and lying to her, saying that she was Whitney's manager. No, Pat Houston, as God is my witness, she is not Whitney's manager, never was. And anybody that's allowing her to lie like that has to be down with it. I mean, come on, why? We're going to have to face some facts, you guys. We're going to have to face some facts with all due respect to each and every one of them that I mentioned. I don't hate anybody. I just hate wrongdoing. That's all. I hate wrongdoing done by us, our own people, doing this to us. We have to stop this. We have to stop this. Have I forgiven everybody? You got that right. Leolah has that kind of heart. I have to forgive them because they are my brothers and sisters. I have to do that. If I say that I'm a believer in God, I have to do that. So yes, I forgave Pat Houston. I forgave Gary Houston. I forgave Ray J. I forgave everybody. I forgave Nick Gordon. I forgave everybody for what they did. But that does not mean that they won't be punished by God. That doesn't mean that. I just have to have my heart right because they are my brothers and sisters. But yes, they did do this. They did some evil things to Bobby, Christina, and Whitney. And it's very wrong, and it needs to be told. The truth needs to be told. At the end of the day, no matter who doesn't like it, no matter who doesn't believe it, it is still going to stand as the truth. I'm not saying this to try to convince you all. I'm not trying to get you to I'm not trying to sound convincing to you. I'm just telling you the truth. You can take it or leave it. It's up to you. But that is what happened. Whitney Houston had too many marks on her body. You don't find a body with all the skin off, and she had skin off of her back, her foot swollen, and fingernails chipped, bloody lip, puffed out face, marks up and down her body. Whitney, gashes all up and down her chest. And I told you guys, I took her pictures to a professional body kickboxing trainer in Buckhead, Georgia. And she said, Leolah, those are kicks. Somebody was kicking Whitney. Whitney had many defensive wounds. Yes, Whitney was fighting for her life in that room, in that hotel room. And Bobby Christina, she fought hard. She didn't want to leave here. She didn't want to leave this world. Pat knew that. And she manipulated the law. How did she get custody over my niece? Half, 50-50 with my brother, her father. Where do they do that at? Somebody that's a stranger to our family. Pat Houston has no blood.
Pat Holland.
Okay? Pat Garland, Watson.
Yeah.
She has no blood. So who gave her 50-50 guardianship? What? I am the one that had legal, full custody, court-ordered, chosen by Whitney. When they threw Whitney up against the wall and said, you got to find somebody to take over Chrissy, full custody, right away, because the judge ordered her into a program. She called me. She said, I'm not doing it with nobody else but my sister Leolah. And I came. And I signed papers with Whitney in front of her attorneys. Pat Houston was present. She was there standing in the corner in the dark with her hands just standing there. Yes. They all know this. But I'm not fighting. I'm not fighting over Whitney's estate. I'm not doing that. I'm not fighting nobody over nothing. I'm just speaking the truth. I'm going to tell the truth because I don't fear anybody but God. I'm not somebody that's going to not speak out. That's not who I am. I fear none but Allah. But that is the truth. I had to set the record straight for you all because I don't want you all walking around blindly believing all these lies being told. Whitney Houston suffered. She suffered. And I'm going to tell you in my book how I believe she took her last breath. It's evident. It's evident. And I want to know what Pat Houston and Gary Houston was taking out of them rooms when her body was found. My nephew said they were running back and forth real fast, taking stuff from out of the room, back and forth, from the room that Whitney was found in. What was you all doing, Pat and Gary? Come on now. You don't touch a crime scene. You're not supposed to do that. Your brother Ray, Pat, had already told me the room looked like a tornado hit it. Did it look like that when the authorities came? Or did you and Gary fix the room up for the police so that they could say that, oh, there's no foul play? Is that what you all did? Because you all did that. And you know that's wrong. You cannot tamper with evidence like that. No. And you all just did all of that moving around about freely without any worries. As my sister laid there dead. Well, Nick sure was going to tell on you. Because he said it. He said, I'm not going down for Pat. I saved her with Whitney. So what did he save you about, Pat? What did he save you? What did you do to Whitney? Because you are taller than her. You are much bigger than Whitney. Whitney can fight. I don't know what you can do, but you are tall. But I believe that it was more than one. I believe Whitney had to fight two people. I really do. Something is telling me two people attacked Whitney. At least two people.
He had to. She wasn't fucking going out without a fight.
Of course she wouldn't go out without a fight. And you all did all of that to my niece. Don't you know that there's a God? There is a God. And he's a just God. Justice does not sleep with him. No. God, I hope that God is resting my sister, my niece, and my nephew. I had to tell you guys what the real deal was. I had to set the record straight because I don't want to hear nobody else say nothing about Whitney Houston and no drugs. Stop it. Stop it.
Please.
Stop talking about
Please
that. And you know what? The media, I was reading something earlier today. I'm going to find out who it was. But I'm going to start suing people. I'm going to start suing you left and right because it doesn't make any sense. Michael Houston sat on Oprah's show with Mama Sissy Houston, and he told the whole world that he was the first one that introduced Whitney to drugs. You all know very well that Bobby has nothing to do with that. And you all still want to write that up and put that in the media, put that out there to give somebody. I see some YouTube bloggers do that. What is wrong with you all? Bobby has nothing to do with that. You don't even know what went on in their home. I do. I was there.
Oh, yes,
I lived with them.
Yes,
and I watched them throughout the whole time, the whole drug ordeal.
Yes.
Neither one of them ever put a pipe to their mouth, first of all. Okay? Neither one of them ever put a pipe to their mouth. You all think you know things and you don't. So Bobby and Whitney was not crackheads. No, they were not. Never. You all got to stop saying this stuff. Stop it. You don't know what Bobby did for Whitney. Whitney's father loved my brother, okay? He knew the man that Bobby Brown was for Whitney Houston. And Alicia, to your father may not be pleased with Bobby, but John Houston, a man of intelligence, loved Bobby Brown. And he loved Bobby for Whitney, for his daughter, yes. Okay, so your father's opinion does not count. It does not matter with us.
It don't matter. It doesn't matter.
You all need to stop this mess. I'm tired of you all attacking my brother and saying things about him in the media. You don't know him. You don't know Bobby Brown. So keep his name out your mouth, please. Keep his name out your mouth. If you want to say something, say something. I'm going to give you all some good things to say about him in a minute because I'm writing a book about Bobby Brown and all the good things that he's done in his life. All the good and wonderful things that he's done for so many people. People that we can't even count. We can't even count. And he didn't do small things for them. He did big things for them.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. So stop talking about my brother. Please. Say something nice for a change. Please, God. Because when you talk about people, God doesn't like that. No. No. Especially when you're not speaking the truth.
Right.
It's called gossip. That's what it's called. I'm not gossiping. I'm speaking out. I am defending my family members with truth. And right now, I'm about done with this one. But I have a lot of things that I'm going to share with this world. I'm sorry. I'm getting ready to shock you guys. I'm coming. And every day, I'm going to put out a video. Every day I'm going to come, even if I say just a little bit. You're going to hear from Leolah. Excuse me. You're going to hear from Leolah. Yes. May all of you have a wonderful evening. I just wanted to get that out and let you know that no, Whitney Houston, Bobby Christina Brown, and Bobby Brown Jr. did not have any drugs in their system that killed them. No, there was no drugs in their system. That little Bobby Jr. didn't have anything in his system that he put in personally.
Right.
No, somebody gave him something.
Right.
Somebody gave Bobby Christina something. Whitney? Wait until this book comes out and you hear about Whitney Houston. You have no idea what this book is about. But I'm going to tell you all. It's the best book ever written. The best written. Oh, yeah, because it's all truth. Have a blessed evening. I love all of you guys. Bye.
911 emergency. Hi, how you doing? This is security from Beverly Hilton. Hi, what's going on? I need some paramedics. Apparently, we got a 46-year-old female found in the bathrooms. That's all I've got right now, but they're requesting paramedics. Oh, okay. Female fell in the bathroom. What room is she in? I'm not sure if she fell or she was in the bathroom with the water. 464? 434, I'm sorry. That's room 434? Yes. Okay, and there's not east, west, or anything else? There's room 434? Yeah. Okay, and you don't know if she is conscious of breathing at all? Apparently she wasn't breathing, and she's 46-year-old. She was not breathing? Yes. Okay, but she is breathing now? I don't know. Okay. The person that called me was irate and made much out of it. Okay, you have security go in there now. Okay, we'll send police and fire over there with that person not breathing. Did it sound like the person was still not breathing? Yeah, that's correct. Okay, we'll get in there for not breathing. Is there a way you can get me to the room so I can try to do CPR? Yeah, we're going there now. Can you get me into the room so I can try to get CPR instructions? Oh, I'm sorry. No, because she kept hanging up on us. Kept hanging up on you? Yeah. Okay, all right, we're getting our units over there, okay? Okay, thank you. Thank you, bye.